Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. We discuss 6 questions in 9 minutes because leaders know how to be concise. We'll go ahead and get started. Our first question, in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
My name's John Hartigan, and I'm the CEO of a company called Domain U, which is an interactive learning platform for corporate and government training.
Very good. Well, question number 2. What's the best thing about working with a team?
I think the best thing with working with a team is the fact that you can leverage other personalities and strengths, especially when you're going through a difficult challenge or struggle. Many times having a team around you gives you different ideas or different energy even. Also, they can kind of support you when your energy is low or you're struggling with an issue, and vice versa. And in many cases, solutions will come around by different members of your team collaborating and working out solutions that would not have been found individually.
Boy, that's some great comments there. Thank you. Question number 3, I hear from other leaders of teams that it can be a challenge to get team members engaged. Tell us your thoughts.
I think the number one thing to getting team members engaged, if they are not currently engaged or have fallen out of engagement, I guess you'd say, is to understand why. Why are they not engaged? Also, why did they get started with the project in the first place? Kind of the we-fee, right? So, what's in it for me idea, and really understanding the motivation behind the individual, because everybody has different reasons for doing things, and sometimes they're not evident, where sometimes people are money motivated, other times it's accomplishment, other times it's just for the fact that they want to be on a very high performing team, and also relationships. So I think it's very important to be able to have that kind of relationship with an individual, that you can have those conversations and really understand what makes them tick.
Well, that's some great comments about kind of that individualization, and you and I were talking about this a little bit before we got the recording going here, but just the importance of finding that why behind each person. I love that. That's a great comment. Question number 4, what other piece of advice do you have for leaders of teams?
I think the main thing is it's important that teams take the time to listen to each other and respect each other, even if they don't agree. I mean, sounds like very basic and fundamental advice, but I can tell you I've worked on numerous teams where that very thing doesn't happen. And so I think it's extremely important for a manager to allow for time and space for individuals on the team to be able to deliver or feel comfortable enough to give some input on issues, because many times people will not speak up just because that's their personality. And so you need to sometimes coax it out of some, and sometimes you need to kind of put the pause on others. And it's extremely important because many times the quiet ones have the most valuable information on a given topic. So that would be one other piece of advice I'd give.
That's great advice, because you're absolutely right, in my view, that there's always some hidden gems out there somewhere, and the people that have them it's not that they're unwilling to share them, they just either don't feel like they have the opportunity, or maybe they're a little shy, whatever the reasons are. It's good for that leader to give them an opportunity to share it, and that's what helps draw people into the team more. That's a great comment, love that.
Absolutely.
Question number 5, what other successful leaders of teams, such as yourself, would you like to recognize that have had a positive influence in your life?
Well, we were talking earlier, and I've never had a chance to personally meet him, but Phil Jackson is one of my favorite coaches of all time, and not just because of his success, but because of his coaching style. I've had numerous coaches and mentors and teams in the past, and he is just the epitome of getting superstar high performers working together by understanding, what is their why and what makes them tick. And I mean, like we were talking earlier, the Kobe and Shaq compare, that whole thing about how he turned that team around and he got those two guys working together when they couldn't stand each other. And I just, I really respect that. And recently his new, that new documentary came out on Netflix about the Chicago Bulls is great. But yeah, so Phil Jackson would be the guy that I would say I really look up to.
Great, great recommendation. A final question. Tell us about your first job.
Oh yeah. So actually, one of my very first jobs, I went down to this restaurant, and I was a busboy, and the guy said, "I'm going to pay." And this is a long time ago, so I think the minimum wage at that time was like $2.50 or something. I can't remember, but I just remember I worked there for 2 or 3 weeks. And I got my first paycheck, and I'm looking at it. I was 16 years old. I'm looking at this paycheck, and I'm like, "Wait, what just happened?" And I said to my dad, "This is crazy. I worked a ton, and I got $50 or something." And he's like, "Well, you should just if you don't like that, start your own business." And I was like, "Okay." So I went out and I did. I started a tennis court washing service, which is just bizarre, but it's a whole nother story. When I was 16 years old, my very first business, and it grew so rapidly that within 2 years it got so busy I had to sell it. My parents made me sell it because I was starting to interrupt with my school. So it was just this crazy experience, and it was just a really neat time to be doing my own business, and I learned a lot about taxes and insurance and all those kinds of things that you don't think about when you're 16, 17 years old.
Right. Yeah, there's a certain naivety about the first time you hit that, you don't realize all the stuff they take out. So,
Yeah, I thought I was rich. And
yeah. I love that story. I love it because it also, because I've heard this from several entrepreneurs, they start a job, whether it's in high school, college, whatever, and they suddenly realize this is not what I want to do. Some people, it spurs them on to do the thing that they love. Others, it convinces them they're on the wrong track, and they immediately shift over to an entrepreneurial track, which is what you did. So I love that story. Well, John, thanks so much for being on the podcast today. How can people find you?
I think the best way is through our website, which is domain-u.com. So DOMAIN-u.com. You can shoot me a message through the contact me page. I would love to hear from you. It's a pleasure being on the podcast, and I encourage anybody who's listening, who's interested in online training and learning platforms to reach out to me. Would love to talk to you.
Great. This is Sean Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. For more ideas, you can find us on LinkedIn by searching Blue Sky Business Consulting. Thanks so much for joining us today. Have a great day.